Welcome to Gitanjali Forum.
I am Dr. Gitanjali. I am NEET teacher and I have several years experience of teaching NEET students.
Now let's see what type of questions have been asked in the previous year question paper. You have to solve as many questions of the previous year as possible so that you can practice well and you can solve the questions quickly in your exam. So chapter cell is very important chapter. Now let's see what type of questions have been asked from this chapter in the past year. So first question is mesosome in a cell there is a mesosome found in the cell. What is that mesosome? There are four options in this question. First option is mesosome is membrane-bound vesicular structure. Second option is chain of many ribosomes attached to a single mRNA. Third option is spatial structure formed by extension of plasma membrane. And fourth option is medium-sized chromosome. So which option is correct from all these options? So which option is correct? Option C. What is mesosome? It is a spatial structure formed by extension of plasma membrane. I'm going to teach you cell chapter today, and this chapter will include all these topics. All the previous year questions will be included in that chapter. Next question is the DNA present in chloroplast is in the chloroplast DNA is found inside it. What type of DNA is that? There are four options for this question. First option is linear double-stranded DNA. Second is circular double-stranded DNA. Third option is linear single-stranded DNA. And fourth option is circular single-stranded DNA. So now what is the answer of this question? Answer is B. The DNA found in the chloroplast is circular and double-stranded. So lots of questions have been asked here in the previous year NEET exam. So before solving these questions, I will teach you chapter cell, the unit of life. After this chapter is completed, you will be able to answer all these previous year questions. In our NEET course, you will be taught in the same way. First one chapter will be completed and then all the previous year questions from that chapter will be solved. We will solve approx 15 to 20 years previous year questions so that you can practice very well all these previous year questions and it will help you in the exam to solve the questions fast. Before moving ahead, let me tell you what are the features of our NEET course. First of all, you will be provided complete study material. The classes will be conducted on our app or Zoom app. As soon as you join our course, you will be given the login ID and password, and after that you can join the classes. Bi-weekly test will be conducted. Then revision classes will be conducted regularly. Then previous year questions of 15 to 20 years will be solved in the course and test series will be conducted. Also, our student will get one-on-one support so that if they have any kind of doubts or query or any problem, they can discuss it with the teachers and get them resolved. So let's start with chapter cell, the unit of life. First is the difference between living being and non-living things. So the difference between living being and non-living thing is that in all the living beings, a cell is there which is not found in non-living things. All the organisms are composed of cells and there are some organisms which have a single cell sufficient to sustain their life. They are called unicellular organisms. For example, you can see here, this is amoeba, this is paramecium, this is euglena. All these are unicellular organisms. In these organisms, all the metabolic activities are carried in a single cell. The amount of energy they require is produced inside this single cell. Their reproduction takes place inside this single cell and all the life processes take place inside this single cell. So these are the unicellular organisms. Then there are multicellular organisms which are composed of many cells. For example, human is multicellular. In human, there are different organ systems like digestive system, cardiac system which is heart, there is kidney and all other organs are present. Now these organs are made up of tissues and tissues are made up of cells. So many such cells are present in multicellular organisms. For example, in human, trillions of cells are present in them. Similarly, higher organisms have many cells present in them. We call them multicellular organisms. So let's study what is a cell. Cell is a fundamental structural and functional unit of every living being. It is observed that the unicellular organisms, which consist of a single cell, they are also capable of independent existence. It means that they sustain their life with a single cell. They don't need anything else and they perform their essential functions of life. All the essential functions to sustain life like respiration, digestion, this single cell is capable of doing it. So it means the cell is fundamental structural unit
It means the structure of the entire body can be made by a single cell, as well as it is functional unit. It means all the functions necessary for organism's survival and life can be done by this single cell. Anything less than a complete structure of a cell does not ensure independent life. It means a structure less than a cell cannot have life. For example, nucleus is present inside a cell, but life cannot sustain with this nucleus only. Only a complete cell can ensure life, an independent life of an organism. For the first time, a live cell was observed by Antony von Leeuwenhoek, and he described about it. Then later on, Robert Brown discovered nucleus. So inside each cell, there is nucleus present which controls the entire cell, and inside this nucleus, the genetic material is also present there in the form of DNA or RNA. So this is present inside nucleus. The nucleus was discovered by Robert Brown. Later on, microscope was invented. First, simple microscope were invented. Later on, electronic microscopes were invented. Then only we came to know about which cell organelles are present inside a cell. For example, inside a cell, there is a cell membrane, Golgi apparatus, centrosome, vacuole, mitochondria, nucleus, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus and its nuclear membrane. There is nucleolus inside the nucleus. There are ribosomes, rough endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, and lysosome. All these cell organelles, we came to know about them after electronic microscope was invented, because we can see a cell only with this microscope. Now cell theory. Matthias Leiden and Theodor Swan, both of them together formulated the cell theory. So now let's know about cell theory. Matthias Leiden was a botanist, German botanist. He researched on many plant species because he was a botanist. He observed that all the plants are made up of different types of cells. For example, you can see here the parenchymatous tissue, and these are made up of parenchymatous cells. There is an intercellular space present between these cells. Then collenchymatous tissue. These are made up of collenchymatous cells which don't have intercellular space. Then sclerenchymatous tissue, which is made up of sclerenchymatous cells. So different types of cells are found in different species of plants. This was observed by Matthias Leiden in 1838. Then Theodor Swan in 1839. He was a British geologist. Because he was a geologist, so he researched on animals. He studied many types of animal cells, and he found that the animal cells have a thin outer layer, and we call it plasma membrane. He discovered plasma membrane. This is the animal cell. Its outermost layer is the plasma membrane. It is also known as cell membrane. It is found in animal cell as well as plant cell. In plant cell, there is a cell wall, which is not found in animal cells. Inside the plant cell wall, there is a plasma membrane, which is also known as cell membrane. Plasma membrane was discovered by Theodor Swan. He concluded that presence of a cell wall is a unique character of the plant cell. He observed that the cell wall is found only in the plant cells, which you can see here in this image, that cell wall is present only in plant cell. It is not found in animal cell. And on this basis, Swan had proposed a hypothesis that all the animals and plants present on the earth, they all are made up of cells. Different types of cells make different types of tissues, and these tissues make the entire body of the plant and animal. And tissues are made up of cells. It means animals and plants all are composed of cells or product of cells. Product of cell means a single cell divides and form two new cells. Then each cell divides again and it will form cell product. Thus different kind of cells keep on forming, and body of the entire organism is made up of these cells. Leiden and Swan together formulated this cell theory. This cell theory explains that all the organisms are made up of cells, but this theory does not explain how new cells are formed. They did not give any explanation regarding it. They only told that all the organisms are made up of cells. Later on, Rudolf Virchow in 1885 explained that the new cells are formed by the pre-existing cells. It means there will be cell present, the pre-existing cell, which will divide and new cells will be formed from it. This theory is given by Rudolf Virchow. It is called omnis cellula e cellula. It means that every cell is made up of a pre-existing cell. Rudolf Virchow modified the hypothesis given by Leiden and Swan. He modified cell theory and gave it the final shape. Because in the cell theory given by Leiden and Swan, They only told that all the organisms are made up of cells, but Rudolf Virchow explains that the cell is formed from a pre-existing cell. Now, what is this cell theory exactly? The cell theory explains that all the living organisms present on the earth are composed of cells and the product of cells, and all the cells arise from pre-existing cells. For example, these two are new cells. These cells are made up of a pre-existing cell. This cell will divide and new cells will be formed out of this cell. So this is cell theory. Now we will go through an overview of cell. How a cell is made. All the cells have dense membrane-bound structures inside them, which we call a nucleus. But this nucleus is found only in eukaryotic cells, which is generally located in the center of the cell. Nucleus is not found inside a prokaryotic cell. In the cell nucleus, chromosomes are present. These are the chromosomes. And inside the chromosomes, there is genetic material DNA present inside them. This is chromosome, and inside this chromosome, this DNA is present. Now the cells that have membrane-bound nuclei are called eukaryotic cells. You can see here, this is a eukaryotic cell. Inside it, this is the nucleus, which is surrounded by a membrane. It means nucleus is covered by a membrane. The cells which has this nuclear membrane, such cells are called the eukaryotic cells. In contrary, the prokaryotic cells, this is the prokaryotic cell, it lacks a membrane-bound nucleus. Look at this. You will not find a nucleus in it. Since it does not have a nucleus, so no nuclear membrane as well. Therefore, prokaryotic cells don't have any nuclear membrane, while in eukaryotic cells, there is a proper nucleus present in them with a nuclear membrane surrounding it. So in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, there is a semi-fluid matrix present inside them, which we call as cytoplasm. This is a prokaryotic cell. It also has a cytoplasm inside it, and this is eukaryotic cell. It also has a cytoplasm. So cytoplasm is this fluid or liquid present inside both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells. All the cell organelles are present inside cytoplasm, like mitochondria, microtubules, centrosome, and all other cell organelles are suspended in the cytoplasm. All the chemical reactions of cell take place inside the cytoplasm to keep the cell in living stage. There are several chemical and metabolic reactions required by the cell to keep the cell alive. For example, respiration takes place inside the cell. Energy production also takes place inside the cell. Mitochondria produce ATP, which is cell energy. So where does all these activities take place? All these occur inside the cytoplasm in both eukaryotic as well as prokaryotic cells. Then besides the nucleus, eukaryotic cells have other membrane-bound organelles. Actually, only eukaryotic cells contain membrane-bound organelles, while the prokaryotic cells do not have membrane-bound organelles. So there is nucleus in eukaryotic cells, which is membrane-bound organelle. Apart from this, there are other organelles as well in which membrane is found, like endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is of two types. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum. This is endoplasmic reticulum, and the other is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Rough endoplasmic reticulum means such endoplasmic reticulum. This is rough endoplasmic reticulum. It has ribosomes on its surface, and we call it rough endoplasmic reticulum. So here you can see in this endoplasmic reticulum, there are ribosomes, and smooth endoplasmic reticulum which do not contain ribosomes. This endoplasmic reticulum is also a membrane-bound organelle. It has membrane in its outer part. Apart from this, the Golgi complex. This is Golgi complex, or it is also known as Golgi apparatus. It also contains a membrane. Then lysosomes. These are the lysosomes, small circular bodies. They also contain membrane. Then mitochondria. These are mitochondria. They also possess membrane. Microbodies are also present in the cell. And vacuole. We can see here, this is the vacuole. And this vacuole also contain a membrane. So all these organelles are membrane-bound organelles. Now if we compare it with prokaryotic cells, then we observe that prokaryotes don't have membrane-bound organelles. Now ribosomes are non-membrane-bound organelles which are found in both the cells. It means ribosomes are the cell organelles which are found in eukaryotic cells as well as prokaryotic cells. In eukaryotic cells, this is the ribosomes. In prokaryotic cells, you can see these small circular bodies. These are the ribosomes. So these ribosomes are the non-membrane bound organelles. There is no membrane surrounding these ribosomes. That's why we call them non-membrane bound organelles, and they are found in both the cells, eukaryotic and prokaryotic. Now within the cell, ribosomes are found not only in the cytoplasm but within two organelles. See, ribosome is found in cytoplasm, but apart from this, it is also found in two organelles. Number one is chloroplast. Chloroplast is found only in the plants and plant cells. These are the chloroplast. Chloroplast is not found in the animal cells. So ribosome is found inside chloroplast as well as apart from this mitochondria. These are the mitochondria. This is plant cell mitochondria and this mitochondria belongs to animal cell. Ribosome is found in both the cells mitochondria. Third one is rough endoplasmic reticulum. Ribosome is found on rough endoplasmic reticulum as well. This is endoplasmic reticulum. These rough endoplasmic reticulum has ribosomes on its surface. In smooth endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes are not found on its surface. Only rough endoplasmic reticulum has ribosomes. So it means, where do we find ribosomes? Firstly, ribosomes are found in the cytoplasm. Secondly, ribosomes are found in chloroplast. Then it is found in mitochondria and on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum. Now, animal cell contain another non-membrane bound organelle. In animal cells, almost all the cell organelles are membrane bound organelles, such as mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, and endoplasmic reticulum. These all are membrane bound organelles. But there are some cell organelles which are non-membrane bound organelles. One such organelle is ribosome, which is non-membrane bound. Apart from this, there are centrosome or centrioles, which you can see here. These are the centrosomes. This is the big picture of this centrosome. Now, what is their function? The function of centrosome is cell division. When cell divides, from one cell there is formation of two cells. In that process, cell requires centrosome. Centrosome helps in that process. Now, cells differ in their size, shape and activities. All the cells are differ in their size. Their shape is also different. For example, if we take mycoplasma cell, then it is the smallest cell. It is very small. Its size is 0.3 micrometer in length. This is micrometer. So it is 0.3 micrometer in length, while the bacterial cell has 3 to 5 centimeter of length. So mycoplasma is very small, only 0.3 micrometer. Similarly, the largest single cell is the egg of an ostrich. This is an ostrich. This is its egg. It is a single cell. It is the largest cell. So the largest cell is egg of ostrich and the smallest cell is mycoplasma. The cells differ in their sizes. Also, cells differ in their shapes. For example, disc-like cells are there. For example, our red blood cells are disc-shaped cells. Then there is polygonal shape. For example, white blood cells are polygonal in shape. Then there is columnar shape. These are the epithelial cells which have columnar shape. Then some cells are cuboid. For example, this nerve cell. Then thread-like shape. This is a thread-like shape. Then some cells have irregular shape. They can take any type of shape. Thus we can see cells can have different size and shapes. The shape of the cell varies because every cell has to perform a different type of function. For example, this is red blood cell. It has a specific function. White blood cells have different functions. What do red blood cells do differently? In red blood cells, hemoglobin is present there. This hemoglobin binds with the oxygen and transports this oxygen throughout our body. While these white blood cells have a different function. They help to fight with infections. They make antibodies. Their function is different. Thus both have different functions, so their shape and size is different. In this way, all the cells have different size and shape because their function is different. Now next topic is cell types. We will study about two types of cells. The first one is prokaryotic and the other one is eukaryotic. Eukaryotic cell is found in the higher organism, for example human or any other animal, and the prokaryotic cell is found in lower organism, for example bacteria. So first, let's study about prokaryotic cell. They are represented by bacteria. This is a bacterial cell. Then blue-green algae, which is also known as cyanobacteria. This is a prokaryotic cell as well. Apart from this, mycoplasma. This is also prokaryotic cell. Then PPLO. PPLO's full form is pleuropneumonia-like organism. This is also prokaryotic cell. Like this, there are many organisms in which prokaryotic cells are found, and these are mostly primitive organisms, or we can say lower organisms. They are generally smaller. Their size is very small. Prokaryotic cell size is much smaller than eukaryotic cells, and these prokaryotic cells multiply very quickly, which means from one cell, two cells will be formed, then four cells from these two cells will be formed. Multiplication take place in these cells very quickly. So if we compare the cell size, then the eukaryotic cell size is very big as compared to prokaryotic cells. A typical eukaryotic cell size is from 10 micrometer to 20 micrometer. This is μm, means micrometer. And the prokaryotic cell includes bacteria. Its size is 1 to 2 micrometer. Then PPLO, which is pleuropneumonia-like organism. Their size is very less, 0.1 micrometer. Viruses have 0.02 to 0.2 micrometer size. Here you can see that size of prokaryotic cell is very less as compared to eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cells are much larger, 10 to 20 micrometer, and this bacteria, which is a prokaryotic cell, it is just 1 to 2 micrometer or even smaller. Now the prokaryotic cell vary in their shape and size. They have different types of shapes. Basically, they have four types of shapes. First one is bacillus, which is also known as rod-like. This is bacillus and its shape is rod-like. Second shape is coccus, which is spherical. These are the coccus. You can see these are round shape or spherical. Then these are the vibrios. They have a comma-like shape. Then spirillum, which have spiral shape. These are the spirillum. So prokaryotes have different shapes. There can be more shapes of prokaryotic cells, but they have these four basic shapes. Then prokaryotic cell structure. All the prokaryotes have cell wall surrounding the cell membrane. This is a bacterial cell. Bacteria is a prokaryotic cell. It has a cell wall. This is a cell wall. And it surrounds a plasma membrane. Plasma membrane is called cell membrane as well. This is inner cell membrane or plasma membrane and cell wall surrounding it from outside. All the prokaryotes, they have cell wall which surround the cell membrane or plasma membrane, but it is not found in mycoplasma. In mycoplasma, there is no cell wall. However, mycoplasma is a prokaryotic organism. The fluid matrix filling the cell is the cytoplasm. The fluid present inside the plasma membrane is called the cytoplasm, which is found in both prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cells. Inside a prokaryotic cell, there is no well-defined nucleus. In this prokaryotic cell, you can't find any nucleus inside it. If you compare it with a eukaryotic cell, you will find a well-defined nucleus in a eukaryotic cell. This is the nucleus in this eukaryotic cell, but there is no well-defined nucleus inside a prokaryotic cell. In a eukaryotic cell, all the genetic material is found inside the nucleus. Genetic material means DNA or RNA. So DNA of eukaryotic cell is present inside its nucleus, but in prokaryotic cell there is no nucleus. So because it has no nucleus, so all the genetic material is basically naked and not enveloped by nuclear membrane. So in the cytoplasm, their genetic material is suspended there. This is prokaryotic genetic material which is not inside a nucleus. It is present in the suspended form in the cytoplasm. In addition to genomic DNA, this genetic material is called the genomic DNA. Whenever cell replicates, forming two cells from the mother cell, at that time this DNA will also replicate and will go inside both the new cells. This is called genomic DNA. But other than this genomic DNA, in many bacteria, they contain smaller DNA outside this genomic DNA. This is genomic DNA, but there is also circular DNA, which is known as plasmid. In this plasmid, there is DNA present inside it, and this plasmic DNA has more special functions. This provides some unique phenotypic character to the bacteria. This plasmid develops resistance against antibiotics. Whenever we get any bacterial infection, we take medicine for it. For example, if someone got typhoid, which is caused by a bacteria named Salmonella typhi, then we take antibiotic to cure it. This antibiotic medicine kills this bacteria inside our body. Now this plasmid develops resistance in bacteria against this antibiotic. So this is the function of this plasmid. Plasmid has DNA and also this main genetic material also possesses DNA. Both contain DNA inside bacterial cell. Now nuclear membrane. We have seen that there is no nuclear membrane in prokaryotic cell and all of its genetic material is suspended in the cytoplasm. But nuclear membrane is found in the eukaryotic cell. This is the nucleus. It is eukaryotic cell and it has this nuclear membrane surrounding nucleus. Apart from this, the common cell organelle which is found in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell is only ribosome. Ribosome is found in both eukaryotic as well as prokaryotic cell. This is the only cell organelle found in both. Apart from this, the prokaryotic cells have unique specialized form of cell membrane which is known as mesosomes. These are the mesosomes. Now what are these mesosomes? They are enfolding of cell membrane. See, this is the cell membrane. Cell membrane is also known as plasma membrane. This is plasma membrane and its enfolding is called mesosome. Here plasma membrane folds inside and forms a mesosome. This is outside folding. This is also a mesosome. So what are mesosomes? They are enfoldings of the cell membrane and found in prokaryotic cells. Now cell envelope and its modification. The prokaryotic cell, particularly the bacterial cell, possesses a chemically complex cell envelope which surrounds the bacteria completely. Cell envelope has three layers. First one is glycocalyx, which is outer layer. Then there is cell wall. Just inside the glycocalyx, there is a cell wall present. And inside the cell wall, there is a cell membrane or a plasma membrane. These three together form the cell envelope of the bacteria. Each layer of the envelope performs different function. So we have seen that envelope is made up of these three layers: glycocalyx, cell membrane and cell wall. All these three have different functions, but together they function as a protective unit. It means protection of bacteria is the function of cell envelope. Now the glycocalyx, which is the outermost part of the cell envelope. It has different composition and thickness in different bacteria. In some bacteria, it has more thickness. In some bacteria, its thickness is less. For example, in some bacteria, it is present as a loose sheath, which is known as slime layer. For example, in this bacteria, you can see here, this is glycocalyx and this glycocalyx is in the form of slime layer. In some bacteria, it is thick and tough, which is known as capsule. For example, in this bacteria, this is outer layer, this red colored layer. This is capsule and this is glycocalyx. Thus, glycocalyx is found in different forms like slime layer in this bacteria and in other bacteria in the form of capsule. Now the cell wall determines the shape of the cell. The layer inside the glycocalyx is the cell wall. This cell wall decides what will be the shape of the bacteria. It gives strength to the bacteria. So it provides strong structural support to the bacteria so that the bacteria doesn't burst or collapse. Then plasma membrane is the innermost layer of the cell envelope. This plasma membrane is selectively permeable in nature. The selectively permeable means whatever molecules are present outside of the cell, whether it is nutrient or a food molecule, what can go inside the bacteria is decided by this plasma membrane. The molecule suitable for the bacteria or the cell will be allowed by this membrane, and the molecules harmful for the bacteria will not be allowed by the plasma membrane. It means plasma membrane is selectively permeable, and also the prokaryotic cell's plasma membrane is structurally similar to eukaryotic cell's plasma membrane. Eukaryotic cell is of two types, plant cell and animal cell. Both possess cell membrane or plasma membrane. In plant cell, this is the plasma membrane which is located inside the cell wall. In animal cell, there is no cell wall. So its outermost layer is plasma membrane. So these are same, the bacterial plasma membrane, the plant cell's plasma membrane and the animal cell's plasma membrane. All are same structurally. Apart from this, in the bacteria, mesosomes are found, which are extension of plasma membrane, which you can see here. This is inner extension of plasma membrane and this is outside extension of plasma membrane. These are called mesosomes. Now these extensions of mesosome, these can be in the form of vesicles, tubules or lamella. Mesosomes perform some function in the cell It helps in cell wall formation, DNA replication. When cell divides, DNA also gets divided, and the two new cells which are formed by division, how DNA will be distributed inside these new cells. Mesosomes help with this also. Apart from this, mesosomes help in respiration, secretion, and enzymatic content. Now the bacteria cell can be motile or non-motile. The motile cells have the flagella. The flagella is thin filamentous extension from the cell wall. It means flagella comes out from the bacterial cell wall. It is extension of the cell wall and it helps the bacteria to move from one place to another place. The bacteria have different numbers and arrangement of the flagella. For example, this is called monotrichous flagella. In this, bacteria has a single flagella called monotrichous. When many flagella are present on a single side, it is called lophotrichous. Then amphitrichous, in which both the sides have flagella. Then polytrichous, it means flagella are found in the periphery of entire cell. This is called peritrichous flagella. Now the bacterial flagella is made up of three parts: filament, hook, and the basal body. This is extended picture of flagella. We can see here, this is the flagella, this is filament. It is attached with the cell wall. This is cell wall. Filament originate from the cell wall. So basal body is inside the cell membrane. This one is the hook which helps in movement of flagella and gives it direction. And the filament, this is the filament. These three are the parts of the flagella. Filament is the longest portion. We can see here, this filament is the longest portion and it extends from the cell surface to the outside. It is coming out of the cell surface, especially from cell membrane and cell wall. Apart from flagella, there are pili and fimbriae as surface structure of the bacteria which helps the flagella in its movement. You can see here, these are the pili. These smaller extension are called fimbriae, and all these three, flagella, fimbriae and pili, they have same function of helping bacteria to move from one place to another. Pili are elongated tubular structures which are made up of special protein. So pili are made up of protein which can vary in bacteria. Different bacteria can have different types of protein in their pili. Now the fimbriae, they are small bristle-like fibers. These are fimbriae and they sprout out of the cell. You can see fimbriae are sprouting out of the cell. These are called the fimbriae. They have important functions in the bacteria. In some bacteria, they help attach bacteria to rocks in streams. See, the streams of water have rocks as well. Fimbriae helps bacteria to attach on the surface of the rocks and also to the host tissue. The parasitic bacteria live inside host body as a parasite, also on the outer surface of the host body. In that case also, these fimbriae help the bacteria to attach with the host bodies. Next cell organelle is the ribosome and inclusion bodies, which are found in prokaryotes. These are the ribosomes. You can see here, these small circular molecules. Their size is about 15 nm to 20 nm. These are made up of two subunits, 50S and 30S. Ribosomal units 50S and 30S makes 70S. However, 50 plus 30 is equal to 80. But in ribosomes, we don't call it 80S, we call it 70S. This 70S is the prokaryotic ribosome. It is found in prokaryotes. Now, what is function of ribosomes? Ribosomes are site of protein synthesis. Protein is synthesized in these ribosomes. Then inclusion bodies. Inclusion bodies, you can see here, these small circular bodies inside the bacterial cell or a prokaryotic cell. These are called the inclusion bodies. Now, what is their function? They keep reserve material. In a cell, various types of metabolic activities take place and some products are formed. Inclusion bodies store these metabolic products as reserve bodies inside the cell. It is not bound by any membrane system. We have studied earlier that almost all the cell organelles have membranes surrounding them. But these inclusion bodies don't have any membranes surrounding them and they are suspended in the cytoplasm freely. Example of inclusion bodies are phosphate granules, cyanophycine granules, and glycogen granules. These all are stored in the inclusion bodies as a reserve material. Then gas vacuoles are also found in the blue-green algae, purple algae, green photosynthetic bacteria. Gas vacuoles are found in their cells and these vacuoles are suspended in the cytoplasm of these cells. So it was all about prokaryotic cell.
Now next is eukaryotic cell. The eukaryotic cells are the advanced cells and they are found in higher organisms. For example, in humans, the eukaryotic cells are found in them. All the animals have eukaryotic cells. So prokaryotic cell is found in bacteria and archaea, and eukaryotic cell is found in animals, plants, fungi, protista. All these have eukaryotic cells. These eukaryotic cells include protista, plants, animals, fungus, all these. Now let's study about eukaryotic cell, their structure and functions. One important character of eukaryotic cell is that there is extensive compartmentalization of cytoplasm in them. This is a cell and inside it, this is cytoplasm. Now inside this cytoplasm, there are many cell organelles and they form compartment-like structure. For example, this is endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum. This is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So this is also contributing in compartmentalization. Then there is Golgi apparatus. Here also you can see compartments are present. Then there is mitochondria, which also has compartmentalization. Thus in the structure of a eukaryotic cell, there is extensive compartmentalization because membrane-bound organelles are present inside them. It means all the organelles which are found in eukaryotic cells, they all have membranes. For example, in a mitochondria, there is membrane present like this. This is membrane in the endoplasmic reticulum as well. Due to these membrane-bound organelles, compartmentalization of the cytoplasm occurs in a eukaryotic cell. Now, in a eukaryotic cell, there is an organized nucleus. This is the nucleus. In a prokaryotic cell, there is no well-defined nucleus, but in eukaryotic cells, there is a nucleus as well as a nuclear envelope. This is nucleus and a layer surrounding this nucleus is called the nuclear envelope. Nucleus contains the genetic material which is organized into chromosomes. These are chromosomes found in the nucleus and genetic material is found in the chromosomes. For example, DNA is present there. DNA is genetic material. The eukaryotic cell include animal cell as well as plant cell. So these eukaryotic cells are not identical. They differ from each other. Like plant cell is different, animal cell is different. For example, if we talk about plant cell, then there is a cell wall in plant cell which is not present in animal cell. This is plant cell and there is cell wall in it. Other than that, there are plastids in plant cell. Like chloroplast is found in plant cell which is not present in animal cell. Plant cells are capable of doing photosynthesis because they have chloroplast and animal cells are unable to do photosynthesis. There is a central vacuole in plant cell. This is the large central vacuole in the plant cell which is absent in animal cell. These are the main differences between animal cell and plant cell. Many other differences are also present among them. Like animal cells have centrioles or centrosome. These are the centrosomes which will be discussed in detail later. These centrosomes are found only in the animal cells. They are not found in plant cells. Like this, there are several differences between plant cell and animal cell, but both are eukaryotic cells. Now we will study about individual cell organelles, their structure and function. So first one is the plasma membrane. This is plasma membrane. It is outermost layer of animal cell, while the outermost layer of plant cell is cell wall. Detailed structure of cell membrane was studied after invention of electronic microscope. During 1950s, electronic microscope was invented and only after that we got to know how cell membrane is composed. It is cell membrane. Its detailed structure is given here. Cell membrane is mainly composed of lipids and proteins. The major lipids present in it are phospholipids, which are arranged in a bilayer. See, this is one layer made up of phospholipids, layer number 1, and this lower layer is layer number 2. In this way, 2 layers of phospholipids are present in it, and these lipids are arranged with polar head towards outside. This outside head is polar in nature. This lower layer's outside head is also polar in nature, and hydrophilic tail towards the inner part. This tail-like structure, which you can see here, this is hydrophobic in nature. That's how plasma membrane is made up of 2 layers of phospholipids. This ensures that non-polar tail of saturated hydrocarbon is protected from the aqueous environment. It means that this tail is non-polar
and it need protection from aqueous environment. Aqueous means water. Since this tail is inward the cell, so it is protected from aqueous environment. Now cell membrane also possesses protein and carbohydrate. Plasma membrane contains protein like this integral protein you can see here. This is the glycoprotein. Membrane proteins can be classified as integral and peripheral protein. The peripheral proteins lie on the surface of the membrane. In this picture, you can see these peripheral membranes are on the surface of the plasma membrane, and the integral proteins are either partially or totally buried inside the membrane. Now, the cell membrane structure was proposed by Singer and Nicholson in 1972. It is called as flood mosaic model. This structure was given by Singer and Nicholson. According to this flood mosaic model, the quasi-flood nature of lipid, the lipids which are found in membrane, for example phospholipids are found in it. These lipids nature is quasi-flood. It means they are semi-liquid in nature. Because of this nature of the lipids, all the proteins found in the membrane like this integral protein, glycoprotein, their lateral movement is facilitated. These proteins can move because the phospholipid where these proteins are embedded, those lipids are semi-aqueous, means liquid type. This movement of protein is very important because the plasma membrane forms the outer layer of the cell, and cell needs many types of nutrient molecules like glucose. These molecules need to enter inside the cell so that cell can get energy from them. Since the plasma membrane proteins have movement which allows entry of nutrient molecules inside the cell. That's why quasi-flood nature of the lipid is helpful in this movement. This ability to move is measured as its fluidity. It means the proteins which can move in this phospholipid layer, this movement is known as fluidity. The fluid nature of membrane is important for cellular functions like cell growth, formation of intracellular junctions, means one cell is attached with the other cell. Where two cells are joined, that place is called intercellular junction. Membrane is important for secretion. Cell secretes many molecules outside the cell. Then endocytosis and cell division. For all these functions, the fluid nature of cell membrane is required. The plasma membrane's most important function is transport of molecules across it. It means whenever molecules are coming from outside, be it glucose, water or anything, these molecules are sent inside the cell by plasma membrane. This membrane is selectively permeable to some molecules. This is the plasma membrane. It is selectively permeable, means it will not allow entry of every molecule. It will selectively send some molecules inside the cell. The molecules required by the cell on either side, means it sends selective molecules inside the cell as well as some selective molecules outside the cell. That's why we say that membrane is selectively permeable. It does not allow each and every molecule. There are many molecules which can easily move across the plasma membrane. They don't require any energy. Such type of transport where molecules are transported inside the cell without need of any energy, it is called passive transport. Some molecule cannot diffuse inside the plasma membrane easily. Some neutral molecules, they move across membrane by the process of diffusion along the concentration gradient. Inside a cell, some material or molecules are found inside it and some molecules are found outside the cell, which forms a concentration gradient. Then movement of molecules will be from high concentration to low concentration. So molecules will go inside the cell because movement is always from high concentration to low concentration. So the neutral solutes, these neutral solutes can go inside the cell by simple diffusion process through plasma membrane. Similarly, water moves like this. Cell needs water and water go inside the cell through simple diffusion. This movement of water by diffusion and water is entering the cell. This movement is known as osmosis. But some molecules, like some polar molecules, they require a carrier protein, and with the help of those carrier protein, these polar molecules can go inside the plasma membrane. For example, this is the carrier protein present in the plasma membrane. These polar molecules go inside the cell through these carrier proteins. This is also known as active transportation. There are some ions and molecules which are transported against their concentration gradient. It means generally what happens,
there is high concentration inside the cell and low concentration outside the cell. So movement is from low to high. But if high concentration is outside and low concentration inside, and even after that, if movement is from high concentration to low concentration, we call this movement to be against its concentration gradient. For this movement of high concentration to low concentration, it requires energy. It is energy dependent process, and here ATP is utilized. ATP is energy. This energy is used in this process because movement of molecule is against the concentration gradient. It is opposite to concentration gradient. This is called active transport. For example, sodium potassium pump. This is potassium outside the cell and sodium is present inside the cell. This potassium has to go inside the cell. If there is high concentration of solute outside the cell and low concentration of solute inside the cell, then this process will require energy. This is called active transportation. Here ATP is utilized, and this protein will take this potassium inside the cell, and this process will utilize cell energy. ATP will provide energy for this, and we call it active transportation. In this way, different types of molecules move inside the cell through plasma membrane. Some move inside through simple diffusion, for example, water molecule. Some molecules require special protein, and some go through active transportation, and they require ATP as well. It was about cell membrane. Now next is cell wall. It is found in plant cell only. Cell wall is not found in animal cell. Cell wall is outermost layer of plant cell, and inside that plasma membrane or cell membrane is found. While in animal cell, this outer cell wall is not present. It has cell membrane as the outermost layer in the animal cell. Now we will study about the cell wall. Cell wall is a non-living rigid structure which is found in the plant cell, which covers plasma membrane. Just inside the cell wall is plasma membrane, which is also known as cell membrane. This is cell membrane, and outside it there is cell wall. It is found in plant cell and fungal cell. In both of these cells, the function of cell wall is it gives shape to the cell and protects the cell from mechanical damage. The mechanical damage like increased pressure on the cell from outside. Cell wall protects cell from this, also protect from infections. Also, cell wall helps in cell to cell interaction. Cell to cell interaction means there are many number of cells in the plant body, in the fungus body. How the cell interact with the other cell? This interaction is through cell wall. This is cell wall of one cell and this is cell wall of another cell, and they interact with each other through their cell walls. Now the algae also have cell wall. This is algae cell and this is cell wall of algae. The cell wall of algae is made up of cellulose, galactans, mannans, also minerals like calcium carbonate. While plant cell is made up of cellulose, hemicellulose, pectins and proteins. It means different organisms' cell walls have different composition. Now the cell wall of a young plant cell is called the primary wall. This is capable of growth. You can see here the primary wall. This outer cell wall is called primary wall. Gradually the cell gets mature due to aging. After that a secondary wall is formed inside. This is the secondary wall, and the primary cell wall diminishes gradually. It diminishes as the cell matures. This is declined and inside it secondary wall is formed, and this process goes on. Apart from this, there is a middle lamella which is between two cells. This is the middle lamella. This is the layer made up of calcium pectate. It holds or glues different neighboring cells together. This is one cell, this is another cell, and they are glued together by middle lamella. The cell wall and middle lamella, they are attached with each other through plasmodesmata. See, middle lamella is this and this plasmodesmata. It links both these cells. This gap or connectivity of these two cells is called plasmodesmata. Through plasmodesmata, the molecule of this cell can move to this cell through plasmodesmata. So it connects the cytoplasm of neighboring cells. Both the cells' cytoplasm are connected with each other through plasmodesmata. Next cell organelle is endomembrane system. In eukaryotic cells, there are several membranous organelles such as mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi bodies. Their structure and function is different from each other, but together we consider them as endomembrane system because their functions are coordinated. The endomembrane system includes endoplasmic reticulum. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum. One is rough endoplasmic reticulum and another is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Other than this, the Golgi complex. This is the Golgi apparatus. Then lysosomes. These are the small circular bodies, lysosomes, and the vacuoles. All of these together form endomembrane system. However, mitochondria, chloroplast and peroxisomes are not endomembrane system's part because they are not coordinated with the organelles of endomembrane system. Now let's study about endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is present in the eukaryotic cell. This is the endoplasmic reticulum, this one. Prokaryotic cells do not have endoplasmic reticulum. Only eukaryotic cells have endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum is network or reticulum of tiny tubular structure. You can see here there are several tubular structures in this endoplasmic reticulum. Endoplasmic reticulum is scattered in the cytoplasm. It also have ribosomes attached on them. This is endoplasmic reticulum, and these small circular bodies you can see here. These are the ribosomes. The endoplasmic reticulum, which has ribosomes on their surface, are known as rough endoplasmic reticulum because due to presence of ribosomes, these endoplasmic reticulum appears to be rough. And the endoplasmic reticulum which do not contain ribosomes are known as smooth endoplasmic reticulum because they don't have ribosomes, so their surface is much smooth. So these are called smooth endoplasmic reticulum in which there is absence of ribosomes. Now the rough endoplasmic reticulum, this one, which has ribosomes in its surface, it is actively involved in the protein synthesis because the ribosomes present on it, their function is to synthesize protein. They are extensive and continuous with the outer membrane of the nucleus. You can see here, this is the nucleus and attached to it is the rough endoplasmic reticulum. And what is the function of rough endoplasmic reticulum? Its function is to synthesize protein. Now the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, their function is to synthesize the lipids. So in rough endoplasmic reticulum, protein synthesis takes place, and inside smooth endoplasmic reticulum, lipid synthesis takes place. Next is Golgi apparatus. It is also known as Golgi complex. These are the Golgi complex. The Golgi apparatus was discovered by Camillo Golgi in 1898. On his name, we call them Golgi apparatus. These Golgi apparatus have several flat disc-shaped sacs or cisternae. These are the cisternae. You can see here their shape is disc-like. These are called cisternae. They are stacked parallel to each other. You can see here these are present parallel to each other. Their number can vary among different types of cells. Golgi cisternae have distinct cis and concave trans or maturing phase. Golgi complex cis phase. This is cis phase and other one is trans phase. This one. The cis phase is convex. This shape is convex. And the trans phase is concave shape like this. This trans phase is also known as maturing phase. Now the Golgi apparatus, all the materials or molecules which are synthesized in the cell, those are packaged by Golgi apparatus. For example, endoplasmic reticulum synthesize lipid and protein. So after their synthesis, they are sent to Golgi complex. And here inside the small vesicles, these proteins and lipids are packed and then they are sent to their destination, whether outside the cell, wherever they are required. So the Golgi complex function is to package the molecules which are synthesized inside the cell. So the material to be packaged from the endoplasmic reticulum fuse with the Golgi apparatus. It means whatever material is synthesized by the endoplasmic reticulum, now the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi body is attached with each other. So molecules from endoplasmic reticulum are moved to Golgi apparatus. Then these molecules are stored there. It means they are packed there. That's why Golgi apparatus remain in close association with endoplasmic reticulum. You can see here the endoplasmic reticulum and Golgi apparatus are located together inside a cell because their function is to coordinate with each other. Now, a number of proteins are synthesized by the ribosomes on endoplasmic reticulum. The rough endoplasmic reticulum contains ribosomes, and these ribosomes synthesize protein and then they are modified in the cisternae of the Golgi apparatus. This is cisternae of Golgi apparatus, and the protein synthesized by endoplasmic reticulum comes in this cisternae.
In Golgi bodies, these proteins are modified and released outside the cell wherever they have to reach or needed. So proteins are released from its transphase. This is transphase and proteins are released from there. For example, you can see here these secretory vesicles. The protein molecule will come from there and it will be packed inside these vesicles. Now their newly forming vesicles keep on forming here, inside which the proteins get stored. Then these vesicles get detached from Golgi apparatus and they are sent to their target destination wherever the protein is required. Thus, Golgi apparatus is important site for the formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids. So glycoproteins and glycolipids are formed here and afterwards they are transported. Next is lysosome. This is cell and inside this cell these are the lysosomes which are circular bodies. So let's study about them. Lysosomes are membrane-bound vesicular structure. They also contain one outer membrane and one inner membrane because it is a membrane-bound structure which is formed by the process of packaging inside the Golgi apparatus. We have already studied that Golgi apparatus have proteins, lipids and other materials are packed inside Golgi apparatus and comes out of it. Similarly, these lysosomes are also storage material which are formed inside the Golgi apparatus. So isolated lysosomal vesicles, they are rich in almost all types of hydrolytic enzymes. They contain hydrolytic enzymes, for example hydrolases like lipase, protease, carbohydrase. These are all found inside the lysosomes. So basically lysosomes contain enzymes and they are active in acidic pH. It means when there is acidic pH inside the cell, acidic pH means less than 7 pH. So in acidic pH, these lysosomes are active. The hydrolytic enzymes which are found inside lysosomes, they are capable of digesting carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. They can digest all these. Now next is vacuole. This is a vacuole. Inside a plant cell, a very big vacuole is found inside plant cell. Vacuole is a membrane-bound space found in the cytoplasm. So vacuole has two membranes, one outer membrane and one inner membrane. Vacuole contain water. In this space of vacuole, there is water, sap, excretory products, which are the products to be excreted outside the cell. They are also present inside the vacuole and other material not useful for the cell. Such matter is also filled inside the vacuole. Vacuole's function is to eliminate unnecessary matter outside the cell because those matter is harmful. Generally, vacuoles are larger in the plants. Like here you can see plant vacuole size is very big, while in animals the vacuole size is smaller. There is a reason why animal cells have smaller vacuoles. Because vacuoles are not that needed in the animal cells. Because there is lesser need to store water content in the animal cell, as well as nutrient content storage is not required in the animal cells. That's why animal cells do not need vacuoles like plants. While in plant cells, photosynthesis takes place in them. To perform photosynthesis, they require water, H2O, which is stored in the vacuoles. Also, in the process of photosynthesis, food is synthesized. Food like glucose is formed. Amino acids are formed. All this material is also stored inside the vacuoles. After that, whichever plant part require that food, it is sent there from vacuole. Thus, there is high requirement of storing water and food content inside the plant cell. That's why bigger vacuoles are found in them. While in animals, it is not required. That's why they contain smaller vacuoles. This vacuole is bound by a single membrane, which is called tonoplast. This is the vacuole and its membrane is called tonoplast. In plant cells, the vacuoles are larger and can occupy 90% of cell volume. Here you can see this vacuole is very big. So in some plant cells, they occupy up to 90% of the area. In some plants, they are smaller as well. There is little variation in them. Tonoplast, which is membrane of vacuole, it facilitates transport of a number of ions and other material into the vacuole. It means whatever material needs to be stored inside it, be it ions, water molecules or any other material, it enters vacuole through this tonoplast. So tonoplast is working in the same way as the plasma membrane does. Next cell organelle is the mitochondria.
So mitochondria is found in a cell, which is very important cell organelle. So number of mitochondria means how many mitochondria will be found in a cell. It varies depending on the physiological activity of the cell. So it depends on the function of a particular cell. The cells which require a lot of energy generation, they will have more mitochondria, because mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Energy is generated by them in the form of ATP. So kind of function a cell does, depending on that, the number of mitochondria will be there. Now the mitochondria's shape and size vary in different types of cells. Typically a mitochondria's shape is sausage shape or cylindrical shape like this. Its diameter is 0.2 to 1 micrometer. Average diameter of 0.5 micrometer. Length can vary between 1 to 4.1 micrometer. Mitochondria have double membrane structure. One is outer membrane and then inner membrane. So it has double membrane, dividing it into two aqueous compartment, one outer compartment and inner compartment. This inner compartment is also known as matrix, and this outer membrane, this area, this is second compartment. Inner compartment is filled with homogeneous substances, which is known as matrix. So this is inner compartment in which whatever substances are there, they are known as matrix. And inner membrane forms a number of infoldings. So inner membrane contains infoldings. You can see here, these are the cristae, and these foldings you can see here in this manner. These are called the cristae. Cristae increase the surface area. So because of them, surface area is increased. So there will be more oxidation in it, which will produce more energy. So the more the surface area, the more energy will be produced. Both the membranes of mitochondria have their own specific enzymes because their function is different. Therefore, both have different types of enzymes in them. So mitochondria are site of aerobic respiration. Cellular respiration takes place inside mitochondria, and it provides energy through respirations. Cellular energy which are produced in the form of ATP. So since it produces energy for the cell, that's why we call it powerhouse of the cell. The matrix. See, this is the matrix. In matrix, there are so many single circular DNA. In a cell, DNA is mainly found inside the nucleus. This is the nucleus in the cell. DNA is found inside nucleus. But apart from nucleus, the matrix of mitochondria also contain a single circular DNA. Other than DNA, RNA is also found in the matrix. And also ribosomes are also found there. Next cell organelle is plastid. Plastids are found in all plant cell because chloroplast is also a kind of plastid, and there is chlorophyll in the chloroplast in which photosynthesis takes place. Plastids are found in plant cells as well as euglenoids. Plastids have some specific pigments which provides specific colors to them. Based on the pigments of plastids, we classify them into three types. First one is chloroplast, which is green in color. Then chromoplast and leucoplast. So first one is the chloroplast, which contain chlorophyll and carotenoid pigments. Function of chloroplast is to tap light energy. In the presence of sunlight, the radiation energy coming from the sun is trapped by chloroplast. Then photosynthesis process takes place inside it. Next is chromoplast. It contains fat-soluble carotenoid pigments like carotene, xanthophyll, which gives it yellow, orange or red color. Then leucoplast. They are colorless plastids. They don't have any type of color and they store the nutrients. There are different types of nutrients present in the leucoplast. On the basis of types of nutrients stored in the leucoplast, they are of different types. For example, amyloplast store carbohydrate like potato. Then elaioplast, they store oils and fats. Then aleuroplast, they store proteins. Now the chloroplast. Majority of the chloroplast is found in the plant leaf. In the leaves, mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells are of two types. Upper layer is palisade mesophyll and lower is spongy mesophyll. Inside these mesophyll cells, there is chloroplast, where photosynthesis takes place. The chloroplast is a double membrane bound structure. You can see here, this is outer membrane and inside it, this is inner membrane. Thus, two membranes are present here. The space limited by inner membrane is called the stroma. This inner membrane's inner space is called stroma. In this stroma, there are many flattened membranous sacs are present, which are known as thylakoid. These are the thylakoids. When many thylakoids are stacked together or piled up, that is called grana. So what is grana? It is collection of several thylakoids. Then these are flat membranous tubules called the stroma lamella. It connects one grana with another grana. They interconnect two granas. They are called stroma lamella. So now the stroma of the chloroplast contains several types of enzymes required for synthesis of carbohydrates and proteins. Whenever photosynthesis takes place, in that process carbohydrates and proteins are synthesized. For that process, different enzymes are required. Those enzymes are present in the stroma. Also, chlorophyll pigments are found in thylakoids. These are the thylakoids, and chlorophyll pigment is present in these thylakoids, which is important for photosynthesis. Also, the chloroplast contains DNA as well. A small double-stranded circular DNA is present in the chloroplast, as well as ribosomes are also there. We have already studied that DNA is found in nucleus. Other than nucleus, DNA is also found in mitochondria as well as chloroplast. Now the ribosome, which is found in chloroplast, they are smaller. They are 70S ribosome, while the cytoplasmic ribosomes found in the cytoplasm of the cell and on the surface of rough endoplasmic reticulum, those ribosomes are 80S, while ribosomes on chloroplast are 70S. Now next is ribosome. So let's study about ribosomes. Ribosomes are present on endoplasmic reticulum. This is rough endoplasmic reticulum. On its surface, ribosomes are attached, and some ribosomes are freely available in cytoplasm. Ribosomes are granular structures, which were first observed by George Palade in 1953. Ribosomes are composed of ribonucleic acid, RNA, and protein, and they don't contain any membrane. We have seen that mitochondria have membrane, chloroplast also have membrane, endoplasmic reticulum have membrane, but there is no membrane present in ribosomes. Each ribosome has two subunits. One is larger and smaller subunits. This is large subunit and this is small subunit, and both of them together form ribosome. In prokaryotic cell, 70S ribosome is found, while in eukaryotic cell, ribosome is 80S. The 80S ribosome is made up of 60S and 40S. Eukaryotic ribosome is made up of these two subunits. The 70S ribosome of prokaryotic cell is made up of 50S and 30S. The word S, which we are using here, this is Swedberg unit, and this Swedberg unit stands for sedimentation coefficient. It is indirectly a measure of density and size. It means the size and density of ribosome is called Swedberg's unit, and we denote it with S. So eukaryotic ribosomes are 80S and prokaryotic ribosomes are 70S. Next is cytoskeleton. This is our complete cell. It has cytoskeleton. Like human has a cytoskeleton made up of bones, which gives structure and strength to our body. Similarly, cell's cytoskeleton has microtubules, microfilaments, intermediate filaments, and all these together form a cytoskeleton of the cell. So cytoskeleton is elaborate network of filamentous proteinaceous structure. These three, microtubules, microfilaments, and intermediate filaments, they all are made up of proteins. They are proteinaceous structure and they are present in the cytoplasm. Now their function. They are involved in many functions like mechanical support. They provide mechanical support to the cell and motility. They support the movement in the cell. Also, shape of the cell is also maintained by it. Next is cilia and flagella. The cilia and flagella are hair-like outgrowths of the cell membrane. They are outgrowths of the cell membrane itself. Suppose this is cell membrane, cilia and flagella come out of that membrane. These are the cilia and this large body is flagella. So cilia are small structures which give movement to the cell, and flagella are comparatively longer, and they are also responsible for cell movement. Flagella are larger in structure than cilia. The prokaryotic bacteria also possess flagella, but structurally different. This flagella is eukaryotic. Right now we are learning about eukaryotic cell. We have already studied about prokaryotic flagella, which is found in bacterial cell. Likewise, eukaryotic cells also have flagella, but both the flagella are structurally different. The flagella of a eukaryotic cell is covered by plasma membrane. This is the plasma membrane. See, plasma membrane is present in cell. There is cell wall and capsule.
So plasma membrane covers the flagella. We can see here. The core of flagella is called axoneme. This is the axoneme. This core area is axoneme. In this, a number of microtubules are present. You can see here. These are the microtubules. The axoneme generally has 9 doublet of microtubules. You can count them here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These 9 are microtubules and these are doublets. It means they are present in pairs of 2. That's why we call them doublet. And they are arranged in peripheral microtubule. These are the peripheral and there is a pair of microtubule in the center. These two are at the center. These are centrally located microtubules. This arrangement of microtubules, 9 outside and 1 pair in center, is called 9+2 array. Now next cell organelle is centrosome and centrioles. These are the centrosomes. In centrosomes, 2 cylindrical structures are present, which are known as centrioles. This is one centriole, this is second centriole, and both of them together form centrosome. Both are collectively called as centrosome. So both are centrioles, this one and this one. They lie perpendicular to each other like this, and they are made up of 9 evenly spaced peripheral fibrils made up of tubulin protein. So they have 9 fibrils. We can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. These are the peripheral fibrils and they are made up of tubulin protein, and each of the peripheral fibril is a triplet. This is triplet 1, 2, 3. These are triplets and the adjacent triplets are also linked. Means this triplet is linked with other triplet like this. They are connected with each other. These centrioles form the basal body of cilia or flagella. The cilia which we have studied, its basal part is made by centrioles. They also form spindle fibers, give rise to spindle apparatus during cell division. When cell is divided and 2 cells are formed from one cell, at that time centrioles have important role to play. Centrioles form spindle apparatus at that time, which will be discussed in the chapter of cell division. Then next is nucleus. Nucleus is very important cell organelle. This is nucleus. Nucleus was first time described by Robert Brown in 1831. He described that cell possesses a nucleus and the material found inside the nucleus was named chromatin by Fleming. In interphase, nucleus has highly extended and elaborate nucleoprotein fibers called chromatin. This chromatin is a nucleoprotein fiber and it contains nuclear matrix. Also, there is a nucleolus inside nucleus. This is the nucleolus found inside nucleus. Nucleus envelope consists of 2 parallel membranes. There is a nuclear envelope surrounding nucleus, this one. This is a membrane. It has 2 parallel membranes. This one is inner membrane and it is outer membrane. So these are 2 membranes here. There is a space present between these 2 membranes. You can see here. This is the space between them. It is 10 to 15 nanometer space. This is called perinuclear space. The outer membrane usually remains continuous with the endoplasmic reticulum. You can see here, this endoplasmic reticulum is fused with the nucleus. At a number of places, the nuclear envelope is interrupted by minute pores. You can see here, these are nuclear pores. This is the space between nuclear membrane and we call it nuclear pore. At nuclear pore, both the membranes are fused. This is inner membrane and this outer membrane. Both of them fuse together and at that place nuclear pore is formed. These nuclear pores are passes through which movement of RNA and protein molecules takes place. It means through this nuclear pore, the protein molecules go out of the nucleus as well as inside the nucleus. Normally in a cell, there is only one nucleus, but some cells can have more than one nucleus. Also, there are some mature cells which do not have any nucleus. For example, erythrocytes of many mammals don't have any nucleus in their cells. Also, sieve tube cells of vascular plants. Vascular plants are those who have xylem and phloem in them. These vascular plants' sieve tubes also do not have any nucleus. Now, nuclear matrix, which is also known as nucleoplasm. This is nucleoplasm inside a nucleus, also known as nucleus matrix. Inside it, there is a nucleolus and chromatin. This is the nucleolus and these structures you can see here, these are chromatins. So chromatin and nucleolus are found inside the nucleus. The nucleoli or nucleolus are spherical structure and they are present in the nucleoplasm. This nucleolus do not possess any membrane surrounding it. That's why the content inside the nucleolus is continuous with the rest of the nucleoplasm. Means this outer nucleoplasm, it is continuous with material of nucleolus because there is no membrane between them. So nucleolus is not a membrane bound structure. The nucleolus is a site for active ribosomal RNA synthesis. Here RNA is also synthesized inside this nucleolus. Large and more numerous nucleoli are present in cells actively carrying out protein synthesis. It means the specialized cells which synthesize proteins, inside them you will find bigger nucleolus and more than one nucleolus. Then nucleus also has chromatin. This is the chromatin. This chromatin contains DNA and proteins which are called histone proteins. There are some non-histone proteins as well. Also RNA is there. Human cell has 46 chromosomes. We have 46 chromosomes and human DNA is a 2-meter long thread DNA which is distributed among 46 chromosomes. Every chromosome has a primary constriction. This is the constriction and this is called centromere. And besides this centromere, you can see these two structures. They are called kinetochores. Now, according to the position of centromere, we can classify chromosomes in 4 types. First one is metacentric. This one. This is the metacentric. In this type of chromosomes, the centromere is located in the middle of the chromosomes. This is centromere in the middle. This location of centromere divides the arms of the chromosome equally both the sides. Then metacentric chromosomes, this one. In this type, the centromere is slightly away from the middle of the chromosome. This is slightly away. Because of this, one arm is smaller and other arm is longer. Then acrocentric chromosome. This is the acrocentric chromosome. In this, the centromere is situated close to its end. You can see here, it is situated at this end. Because of this, one arm is extremely short and one arm is longer. Then telocentric chromosome. This type of chromosomes have terminal centromere. It means it has only one side arm and other side arm is absent. That's how we have studied how a cell is formed and how many organelles it has. In this, we have studied about mitochondria, plasma membrane, microtubule, centrosome, microfilament, lysosome, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, secretory vesicles, peroxisomes, vacuoles, cytoplasm, Golgi vesicles, Golgi apparatus, chromatin, nucleolus, nucleus, rough endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, and intermediate filaments. Cell is made up of all these organelles, and this is very important chapter. Many questions are asked from this chapter.
Now we will solve the previous year questions. So let's see what kind of questions have been asked in the NEET exam in the past years. First question is, mesosome in a cell is a... So there are 4 options given here. First option is, mesosome is membrane-bound vesicular structure. Second option is, chain of many ribosomes attached to a single mRNA. Third option is, spatial structure formed by extension of plasma membrane. And fourth option is, medium-sized chromosome. So in cell chapter, I taught you about the mesosome. So answer is C. Mesosome is a spatial structure formed by extension of plasma membrane. You can see in this figure, this is mesosome. And what is this? This is plasma membrane. And this plasma membrane's extension is mesosome. When this plasma membrane extends inside or outside of the cell, it creates mesosome. This is next question. In this question, 2 statements have been given. Statement 1 is, concentrically arranged cisternae of Golgi complex are arranged near the nucleus. So in this question, it has been asked that cisternae of Golgi complex are located near the nucleus. Now statement 2 is, a number of proteins are modified in the cisternae of Golgi complex. In the cisternae of Golgi complex, many types of proteins are modified there before they are released from cis phase. Now read it carefully. From the cis phase of the Golgi complex, these proteins are released. So this question's answer is D. Both the statements are wrong. So how both the statements are wrong? In the first statement, they have asked the cisternae of Golgi complex are arranged near nucleus. In this figure, you can see this is the nucleus. Which organelle is near the nucleus? It is endoplasmic reticulum. This endoplasmic reticulum is near the nucleus. And this is the Golgi complex. And this Golgi complex is far from nucleus. That's why this statement is wrong, that the cisternae of Golgi complex is not arranged near the nucleus. So this statement is wrong. The second statement is a number of proteins are modified in cisternae of Golgi complex before they are released from cis phase. Now you can see here, I have taught you that a number of proteins are synthesized by ribosomes on the endoplasmic reticulum. In our endoplasmic reticulum, proteins are synthesized there, and after that they are modified in the cisternae of Golgi apparatus. In the endoplasmic reticulum they will be synthesized, and after that they will go to Golgi complex, and then in Golgi complex they will be modified. These proteins will be packaged in Golgi apparatus before they are released from its trans phase. So they will be released from the trans phase of the Golgi complex. You can see here, this is the cis phase and this is the trans phase of Golgi complex. So from trans phase, you can see here the globular structure. These are the proteins and they are released from the trans phase. And in the question, they have asked that released from the cis phase. So they are not released from the cis phase. They are released from the trans phase. So that's why this statement is also wrong. So answer is D. Both the statements, statement 1 and statement 2, both are false. Now next question. Which of the following are not considered as the part of endomembrane system? So I have taught you about the endomembrane system. So which organelles are not part of that endomembrane system? They have given the options: mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, chloroplast, Golgi complex and peroxisomes. So its answer is A, which is A, C and E. A means mitochondria, C is chloroplast and E is peroxisomes. These three are not part of endomembrane system. You can see here, endomembrane system includes endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi complex, lysosomes and vacuoles. These are part of endomembrane system. Now, which are not part of endomembrane system? These include mitochondria, chloroplast and peroxisomes. These three, mitochondria, chloroplast and peroxisomes. You can see here, these are not considered as part of the endomembrane system. These three, mitochondria, chloroplast and peroxisomes, these are not part of endomembrane system. So this is the answer. Next question is, which of the following functions is carried out by cytoskeleton in a cell? So I have taught you that in our cell there is a cytoskeleton. So what is its function? First option is protein synthesis, second is motility, third is transportation and fourth is nuclear division. So answer is B, motility. You can see here, cytoskeleton is involved in many functions such as mechanical support, motility, maintenance of the shape of the cell. So these three are its functions. So it doesn't do protein synthesis, it is not involved in transportation and it is not involved in nuclear division. The answer is motility. It provides motility to the cell. Next question is, there are two statements, statement 1 and statement 2. First statement is, in bacteria, mesosomes are formed by the extensions of plasma membrane. You can see this question has been asked again, so it is important question. Second statement is, the mesosomes in bacteria help in DNA replication and cell wall formation. So we already know about the first statement, that mesosomes are formed by the extensions of plasma membrane. This is the mesosome and this is formed by the extension of plasma membrane. So this statement is correct. And the second statement, mesosome in bacteria help in DNA replication and cell wall formation. So I have taught you that mesosomes help in respiration, secretion process and enzymatic content. Also, mesosomes help in cell wall formation, DNA replication and distribution to daughter cells. And in the question it has been asked, mesosomes help in DNA replication and cell wall formation. So you can see here, they help in DNA replication and cell wall formation. It means the first statement is correct. Also the second statement is also correct. So answer is option C. Both statement 1 and statement 2 are correct. Next question is, when the centromere is situated in the middle of two equal arms of chromosomes. I have taught you about centromere, that it is situated in the middle of the chromosome. So when it is situated in the middle of the chromosome, it is known as metacentric. This is the centromere situated in the middle of the chromosome. So when it is in the middle of the chromosome, it is known as metacentric. So answer is A, metacentric. So this has been asked. Centromere is situated in the middle of the two equal arms of chromosomes. So it is metacentric. And what is submetacentric? When centromere is little away from the center. In acrocentric, you can see here the centromere is situated at the edge of the chromosome. And in the telocentric, the second arm of the chromosome is absent. So the answer of this question is metacentric. Next question is, which is the important site of formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids in eukaryotic cells? So in eukaryotic cells, the glycoproteins and glycolipids, in which organelles they are formed? So we have already studied that. Answer is B, in Golgi bodies. You can see here, Golgi apparatus is the important site of formation of glycoproteins and glycolipids. So glycoproteins and glycolipids both are formed in the Golgi apparatus or Golgi bodies. So answer is B. Next question is, which one of the following cell organelles is enclosed by a single membrane? Its answer is lysosomes. In the lysosome, there is a single membrane surrounding it. In other organelles like nucleus, mitochondria, chloroplast, they have double membranes. So we have seen here what type of questions have been asked in the previous years. In our NEET course, we will help you solve past 15 to 20 years previous year questions of NEET exam so that you can understand very well what type of questions have been asked. So if you practice them, you will be able to solve all the questions quickly in the exam. So let me tell you what are the features of our NEET course. First of all, you will be provided complete study material. The classes will be conducted on our app or Zoom app. As soon as you join our course, you will be given the login ID and password. And after that, you can join the classes. Bi-weekly test will be conducted. Then revision classes will be conducted regularly. Then previous year questions of 15 to 20 years will be solved in the course. And test series will be conducted. Also, our student will get one-on-one support so that if they have any kind of doubts or query or any problem, they can discuss it with the teachers.